What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy, bringing you another gold nugget that you can pick up or kick it aside. So, I'm reviewing this video again with Dr. Fauci, who spoke to Congress and openly admitted that the USA, they had interest in the research that China was doing when it came to this virus to see could it be transmitted from an animal to the humans. And of course, he denies that, there was no other involvement in the research for them, the USA, that this research they were doing to see could the virus be actually made to a greater virus. And in him denying that, he admitted that the USA was interested in this research.
Dr. Fauci, we don't know whether the pandemic started in a lab in Wuhan or evolved naturally, but we should want to know. 3 million people have died from this pandemic, and that should cause us to explore all possibilities. Instead, government authorities, self-interested in continuing gain-of-function research, say there's nothing to see here. Gain-of-function research, as you know, is juicing up naturally occurring animal viruses to infect humans. To arrive at the truth, the U.S. government should admit that the Wuhan Virology Institute was experimenting to enhance the coronavirus's ability to infect humans. Juicing up superviruses is not new. Scientists in the U.S. have long known how to mutate animal viruses to infect humans. For years, Dr. Ralph Baric, a virologist in the U.S., has been collaborating with Dr. Shi Zhengli of the Wuhan Virology Institute, sharing his discoveries about how to create superviruses. This gain-of-function research has been funded by the NIH. The collaboration between the U.S. and the Wuhan Virology Institute continues. Doctors Baric and Shi worked together to insert bat virus spike protein into the backbone of the deadly SARS virus, and then use this man-made supervirus to infect human airway cells. Think about that for a moment.
Think about it, 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 think about it.
The SARS virus had a 15% mortality. We're fighting a pandemic that has about a 1% mortality. Can you imagine if a SARS virus that's been juiced up and had viral proteins added to it, to the spike protein, if that were released accidentally? Dr. Fauci, do you still support funding of the NIH funding of the lab in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, with all due respect, you are entirely and completely incorrect that the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Do they fund Dr. Baric?
We do not fund.
Do you fund Dr. Barrick's gain-of-function research?
Dr. Barrett does not doing gain-of-function research, and if it is, it's according to the guidelines, and it is being conducted in North Carolina. You
don't think inserting
China.
a bat virus spike protein that he got from the Wuhan Institute into the SARS virus is gain of function?
That is
You would
not
be in the minority because at least 200 scientists have signed a statement from the Cambridge Working Group saying that it is gain of function.
Well, it is not. And if you look at the grant and you look at the progress reports, it is not gain of function, despite the fact that people tweet that.
So do you still support sending money to the Wuhan Virology Institute?
We do not send money now to the Wuhan Virology Institute.
Do you support sending money? We did under your tutelage. We were sending it through EcoHealth. It was a sub-agency and a sub-grant. Do you support the money from NIH that was going to the Wuhan Institute?
Let me explain to you why that was done. The SARS-CoV-1 originated in bats in China. It would have been irresponsible of us if we did not investigate.
Now, why would anyone want to, number one, mess around with viruses to see can you make it more dangerous than what it actually is? And can you get it to transmit from an animal to a human? Now, I'm not no scientist and I'm not a researcher in that capacity. So I could not even tell you that. I could not even explain that. But I know in my moral fiber, why would one want to mess with nature to do such a so-called research? Well, I'll tell you this right here. In my humble opinion, because I know some history, we do know biological warfare actually exists. And we do know that it has been used on human beings before. Now, the question of it is that who does China want to go ahead and experiment this billions of dollar research on? Because in research, you do need someone, something to run the test on. If you're trying to see that it is going to be transmitted from an animal to a human. Now, why would even damn Erica, put the D in front of America, capitalize the E, damn Erica, why would she want to be involved in that research as well? And showing that there is a collaboration going on, where will the testing grounds be? So we know we have our so-called people, brothers and sisters in Africa, the countries in the continent, that China is doing mega work in certain countries on infrastructure. You see where I'm going with this? It is even said that China in some countries are building their own little towns. Now the USA, damn Erica, wanted to go ahead and be part of this research, though Fauci said there was no money that was given to see if this virus could be increased to be more potent, more dangerous. That they didn't put no money into that. But yet your hand is in the pot of being curious of the findings in the research, with you sending your people over to be part of that. Sounds like a partnership to me. Now I'm going to say this right here. China, we know, is even in damn America. But China, here in the last decade, have been putting a footprint in Africa and in Central Americas. And to me, it's a strategic move. But what is the strategic move for? You see, it's too obvious to send troops in to remove a people. And it's too obvious that if you're going to drop bombs to remove a people or to devastate an economy, so that then when loans can't be paid or people are just dying, that you can just walk right on in. But what you could do is what was done to the natives in damn America, was we can use something as simple as biological warfare. You know the history, right? You remember when damn Erica, who had an issue over in Europe with the smallpox, the Black Plague, and some of these other diseases, decided to put it inside blankets and trade it with the natives. And it killed millions of them. Now, fast forwarding to today, China is in the laboratory. And all of a sudden, a problem happens. The virus escapes and it has an impact on the world. Now, I'm going to say, hold up, let's rewind here for a second. You're doing tests to see if this virus can go ahead and be transmitted from animals to a human being. You are on the other side making a footprint in many countries, not only in Africa, but in Central America and other parts of the world. And you already made a mistake, and the secret was let out of the bag, how devastating this could be. But it never even reached its full potency, if you will. That is said that it could have been 15 times worse than what we know today. Now, just imagine China decides it wants to unleash this virus in Africa, in each place that it has. Now, you see, you're going to say, well, hold up, they're going to hurt their own people? That's Chinese people that's there already, all that, right? Look, we know there are people by the tens of thousands trying to get out of China. We know China has done devastation against its own people. Do you think they care anything about their own people? But can you imagine that this whole setup that I see, this strategic move, that China has a footprint in these countries that were borrowing money from them to do this work? Railways, power plants, water systems, dams, ports, business buildings, cities that they have erected, and that if this country falls, who they did the business with, it becomes theirs. Now, how can you cause that to happen? Because I'm quite sure in the contracts, it doesn't say if there is such a world event or devastation or epidemic or pandemic that comes from Mother Nature, you don't have to pay this loan back. I'm quite sure in that laboratory where they had this project going, that it would have been put into the hands of those who are in charge to go into these countries and unleash this virus to eradicate a people in order for you to slide right in and let it be your country because of the defaults of loans. Because if you got no control over your resources when it comes to infrastructure, your power plants, your water plants, your railway systems, your ports, when somebody else controls that, you're done. So if you can imagine unleashing this virus into these countries and in Central America on these islands, to include Jamaica and all these other little small islands, and you watch people die by the tens to hundreds of thousands to millions, the house becomes yours. So I say, here it is. The cat was let out of the bag, but nobody's paying attention. Yet he who has a spirit of discernment, who understands that if a man has no moral fiber, moral ethic about himself, he is apt to do anything. So you know what the old saying is. If you want a clean house, you got to bring in a new China cabinet. Think about it.
Think about it, 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 think about it.